Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Ask Me Anything. My name is Sam Carlson, one of the co-founders of Uphex. This is Ask Me Anything, which you can ask me anything, but you're going to do the very best if you ask me one of three things: the audience, something about the audiences you serve, the offers you create, the persuasion tactics that you use to get more people to buy your stuff. Now, today I have a very special guest, and it's none other than my buddy Robb Bailey. Robb Bailey, there he is. Pumping the fist, getting stuff going. Dude, I'm excited to have you. So I know a lot of times you guys probably get tired of hearing from me all the time. So I wanted to bring in my friends, the people that really do this stuff, and the people that I feel like can really serve you guys as you're building your agency. So I asked Robbie to see if he could come in here, and he didn't even hesitate. He said, let's do it. So we're going to do our Ask Me Anything. I'm super fired up to get it going with y'all. Now, for those of you that are new, that this is your first time coming to this Ask Me Anything, here's how it works. You can ask anything, okay? But if you ask something in terms of growing your agency, getting customers, that's probably where you're going to be best served with myself and Robb. And the way you do it is you raise that little hand emoji in your window. We will call on you. You can unmute, and then you can ask away. If you're shy, I understand. I get it. You can put it in the chat, and if there's a lull in the conversation, we'll go ahead and read the question or read the question. Now, for those of you that don't know Robb, if you don't know Robb, then you maybe are newer to the high-level community, the Uphex community, which is fine. Robb has been in the agency space for a very long time. I actually first came across Robb in an interview for Sam Ovens, and this was years ago. I mean, a long time ago. And he was crushing it in the gym space. And I watched that interview, and so many things about Robb's story. I was like, dude, I did the same thing. Dude, that's me. And I felt a kinship to Robb from the very first time I ever saw him on a video. And when I reached out to him about Uphex, when Uphex was coming down the chute in the high level community, he was the first person I reached out to. And Uphex at the time was a bit half-baked, but he gave me a clear shot and was like super cool. So he's my brother from another mother. The bald eagles will fly. And you guys go ahead. If you got a question, raise the hand emoji, and Robb's here to answer the questions. So
Go. I'm at a stoplight, so I can use my hands.
I love it, man. I love it.
I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to help. So whatever you guys can throw at me, I can probably handle. Fair warning, if you ask me something, be warned, you might get the actual answer. So careful what you ask. I've had some people do that. They think they're being funny or whatnot. And then I come in with the real, and they're like, oh, wait, pump the brakes. We didn't need that much information. I'm kidding. No, it's totally fine. But yeah, so this is while the questions start rolling in, I'm here to serve you guys. So this is not about me, but just to help for context, I have what I call the tale of two agencies. That was my story, and probably the reason why Sam and others have, and I'm only telling you guys this because others have told me it's helpful, but I had in my first agency, I did everything wrong in the book. You name it, I did it wrong. Overworked, underpaid, scope creep like you wouldn't believe. And that was a 7-figure agency. The revenue was not the problem, guys. The effort was not the problem. The skill level was not the problem. The issue was I was working a broken model. And so no matter how hard my business partner and I tried, that thing would just not, churn out money for us. And so I shut that thing down after 3 years. We were totally and completely burned out. My business partner went on to work for a place called Codable, and he's still there to this day. And he's stoked. He loves his job, loves what he does. And I was on the brink of quitting, and my wife was saying, hey, honey, maybe you should just go get a job. And I said, well, give me a couple months to figure this out. And what I did was, it was two things. The first thing was I printed out everything, every line item from our QuickBooks. I painfully printed all this out, put it all on the floor. I wish I would have taken a picture, but it covered like the entire floor of our living room. And I was kind of went into mad scientist mode, and I was trying to reverse engineer what worked and what didn't. And I figured out that for our time input, that Facebook ads was one of the, and this is back when Facebook ads was just getting hot. Facebook ads one of the most profitable line items that we had. And I had tens of thousands of line items, guys. I would just do, everything was custom. So you can picture, we use something called FreshBooks. I had to use something like FreshBooks because I was creating crap on the fly so much. I just needed to scribe into the line items in the invoicing system, whatever it was my client was asking me to do. Okay. And I thought that was the way to do business. So I did that, and I figured out that it was like 1% of our revenue, but Facebook ads was super profitable, right? The second thing I did was I hired a mentor, and I did not plan this, but this is a Billie Jean sweatshirt. I paid Billie Jean, I think it was 15 grand that I didn't have, threw it on a credit card. I was sick to my stomach because I was broke when I did that. And within 3 months, he helped me get my new Facebook ads agency off the ground. It was a productized service. And that was the beginning of Fit Club Accelerator. I then fell into the gym niche somewhat. And we only offered 3 things with one line item. And we helped 535 locations in 21 months. I was able to sell that agency. Our top month near the end was $409,000, give or take. And there was tons of profit in that. I think when I sold the agency, including all my 0 profit months, I was at like 39%. So at the end, it was hella profitable. All that to say, guys, that's why I call it the tale of 2 agencies. Just because you have an agency does not mean you're working the correct model. Okay, these 2 agencies could not have been more different of an experience for me, the person who it's supposed to be working the most for, right? So if you guys have a family, you know what I'm talking about. If you're maybe a little younger, you don't have a family, it still should be working for you. It should be giving you way more than it's taking from you. That's what business should be about, right? That's just to give you a little context. So when I sold that agency, it was called Fit Club Accelerator, the gym agency. Robb and Alex I knew from Billie Jean's program and agency work and all that stuff. And he said, hey, can you come and test my beta software? I'm like, well, what does it do? He said, 2-way text messaging. I'm like, I'm spending $44,000 a month on 2-way text messaging for a couple hundred clients right now. How much do you charge? And he said, oh, it's $300 for unlimited plus usage. And I said, per location? And he's like, no, for the whole thing. And I said, okay, first, I will kiss you if this does what you say it does. And second, you need to be charging a lot more than $300 a month. Turns out that they didn't want to do that. And credit to them, their vision was, turned into 5.5, 6 years later, it's turned into what GoHighLevel is today. So I helped them launch out a beta. I helped them craft their first feature sets around lead nurturing, specifically through SMS. My team and I helped develop some of the features you guys use every day in the Conversations tab, and et cetera. So I've been around GoHighLevel since literally the beginning. We didn't even have a customer number for like 3 years because we weren't paying for an account. Finally, they said, hey, you gotta get in here or something. So and I'm not telling you guys that to impress you. I'm just telling you where I've come from so I can help you get closer to what you want out of your business, whatever business that is. Okay. So it's very humbling for me. Like at the summit, there's a big infographic on the wall and it said how it started. And Sean and Robin literally launched out of beta at one of my workshops. 40 out of 40 agency owners bought at that workshop, right? And they got pictures of that. And that's how they started their story. It was just very grassroots. So I love helping good entrepreneurs get off the ground, like Sam with Uphex. I think it's a great product. I think it's, the reason why I was so excited, I love Sam as a person, but what Uphex does is what I loved about it, right? Is it helps you productize something that gives your client what they want, helps solve that problem for them without you having to stay up nights and weekends worrying about customizing their Facebook ads or, managing their Facebook ads campaign. So I do also love Sam and he's a great guy. We've got to know each other since, but that tool, that step of adding Uphex can offer a lot of freedom to people. And that's really the reason why I wanted to give you a shot, Sam, because that was the same way that I felt when GoHighLevel presented their solution to me way back when, right? So.
I love it, dude. Like I said, this is my brother from another mother. Let's go ahead and if you guys have questions, I know everybody's a little bit nervous. We got to seed the jar with a question. So I'm going to seed the jar with a question as I take off my shirt and reveal my massive muscles.
Let's go. Yes.
You talk about productizing. You actually said it 3 times in your little intro. And I'm drawing attention to it because I think it's an idea that there's some ideas in marketing that become cliche. And so they come here and they go here, but they're incredibly foundational. And
Yeah.
if without them, you will lose. You will not work. You will not win at all. Talk to me, deep dive me, productizing your services as an agency. Like, what does that mean and how do you do it?
Yeah, sure. So I think you're talking about productizing. Most people have a fear of productizing because they feel like if it's not custom, the client won't pay them to do it. And what I found is the opposite is true. You know, I don't care who you are, if you've never had a client all the way to super experienced, we don't give ourselves enough credit in some things as marketers and agency owners. And we also give ourselves too much credit for other things. But the thing that we don't give ourselves enough credit for is that we know best, right? Meaning, like when I went to these gym owners, I'll give you, this is a great example. Like I knew more than these gym owners did. Okay. And I knew that. And it wasn't coming from, like, if you remove the ego part of that statement, you say, okay, I know that a gym owner, local gym owner, does not need all this custom work, like $30,000 worth of custom work to differentiate themselves in the marketplace, therefore putting that plus a bunch more into their bottom line. It sounds ridiculous saying it out loud, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So then why would you offer a custom solution to a local gym owner if, like, there was an ad out there somewhere in the ether, in space, or on this planet that works pretty well for almost any gym on the planet in their local area, right? Like, I'm just trying to make it sound absurd because that's kind of how absurd it is to think that you need to go into craft some custom thing for a gym owner and have them pay you to, you know, sit down and, you know, put your CMO or PhD or like MBA hat on to crack this code. Guys, it's not that complicated. I'm sorry, but it's just freaking not. Okay. Yeah. You make an offer that people want to grab their attention. They raise their hand. You follow up with them quickly. The next thing you know, they're in a sales opportunity at the place of the business. That's freaking it. That's the model. It's been like that forever, minus a few years for COVID. And it works. It just works. Okay. So we're not talking about reinventing the wheel here. What we're talking about doing is putting so we're going inch wide, mile deep, right? We're saying, hey, this thing works really well, but you have to get a couple of key things right. And right now you're not getting those key things right. So we're just going to do that. We're going to start there because the outcome that you want, Mr. Small Business Owner, is more gym memberships, basically more customers, right? And in order to do that, we have to execute on a handful of things. Well, not like 50, not a big custom project, like 3 things well. An effective ad to grab attention. We need to follow up with them quickly, and we need to nurture that lead into a sales opportunity. Those are the 3 things that we need to do for you to get those 30 memberships per month that you want. And that's it. Okay, so did that sound convincing to you guys? I only had to say that like 3,000 times to get 535 customers. And guess what, guys? It worked. Like, we put money in the pocket of every single client that signed up for our service.
So can I just piggyback here real quick?
Yeah.
So why, Rob, why is it that this is funny? Because the whole idea of, and I didn't ask you that question so I could pitch Uphex. That's not why I'm doing that. But the whole thesis of Uphex was every time I get a new customer, I know that I'm using this library of ads because I have proven them to work. I don't want to customize because what happens when you customize? You're guessing. Like, you're wasting their money and your time, right? Why is it, doesn't it seem like at some point in your, like, and even it was your journey, like you ran an agency that you guys had charisma, you could sell, you could get clients, but on deliverability and fulfillment, you were not profitable. You were like digging your own grave. That's the custom. Why is it that these seasoned people talk about standardizing or productizing your offer and delivery so much?
Well, the short answer is it's a necessary function to have a healthy business. Like, every business does this, but it's like, why can't we do that with ours? Right? Like, you know, think of McDonald's. You know, do they have the best burger in the world? No, but they have a very standardized process that cranks out a very repeatable product. Your clients Like, let's just take the gym owner, for example, have a standardized process, right? They don't create a custom workout for every single person that comes into their gym. I don't know a single gym that does that. Do you? Like, find me
No,
one.
no.
No, they don't sit there and go like, in order to pay your $9 a month at Planet Fitness, you have to spend 30 grand because I need to do a whole metabolism panel and we're going to custom craft. It's like, no, you pay the membership. There's a process to do that. There's a process to check in and check out. There's a process to, billing. There's a process to all this other stuff. Do they have upsells and add-ons? Yes. But those have standardized processes too, right? If you've ever read the book, The E-Myth by Michael Gerber,
Yeah.
it's a great book. It's like this big. It's a fantastic example of this. So when I read that book, it was like about halfway through my first agency, I became somewhat obsessed with trying to figure this stuff out. I didn't know how to execute on it, but I read that book. Someone told me, they're like, hey, you got to read this book. It's great. You'll like, a light bulb moment went off for me on that, right? So if you've ever gone somewhere where there's a high level of variance, but you still felt like you were taking very good care of. So like in the example, in the E-Myth, he talks about this hotel, right? And like, I've been blessed enough, like I think we stayed at a Four Seasons twice. One was for our honeymoon with me and my wife. And I could not believe the level of detail these people had to make our experience unforgettable. It was just mind blowing, right? From the time you walked in until the time you left, they knew what your favorite drink was. They knew which restaurants you wanted to eat at. They knew about what time you were coming home to your room to get your bedroom ready and all that, fun stuff. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And so they have a standardized procedure that covers that variance so that the net result is that I feel it that way. That unforgettable experience was worth the money, right? So when you guys think about it, you have to think about this almost like an assembly line. If you are doing everything by the seat of your pants right now, or you're doing tons of custom work, there's usually no amount of hourly rate that will make up the amount of leverage that you will get when you productize your service. So as a business owner, you get to a certain point, like let's say that your bills are paid, right? Your rent, mortgage is paid, there's food on the table, all your bills are paid. Okay, now you've got a little cushion, right? Once you have a little cushion, that usually just means sales, guys. You need to sell more stuff. Once you have a little bit of a cushion, then you can afford to be more strategic, and that's when you need to think about productizing. Once you begin productizing, you will see that you'll gain efficiencies in every phase of your business. So prospecting, sales, fulfillment, etc., retention, all that stuff. When you're able to do that, what you're doing is eliminating risk from your business, basically from your offering and your time. When you do that, you can start to, like, again, I became somewhat obsessed with this, but like now I only do things with limited to no downside and tons of upside.
Yeah.
So that's my decision-making process. Meaning when someone says, hey, will you do this for me? I get to have the luxury now of stopping and saying, well, what is the downside? So if someone asks me to do custom work, for example, I know that there's 100% chance that it'll take longer than both of us expect.
Yeah.
That means that it's eating my most valuable resource, time. And so I'm saying, oh, there's tons of downside in that. I don't care how much you throw at me. It's got to be like a lot. So that's why I will only do something like that if I have equity in that person's business now. And that usually results in them saying pass. And I'm okay with that, right? But some people say yes, and it's worth it for me because I'm only willing to do that if I've got tons and tons of upside, right? So a decision-making matrix for you might be, for wherever you're at in business, might be the next time that put an offer out there to say, okay, am I willing to do 3 things over and over again for this, that a bunch of clients that sort of look the same, because I know that there's a limited amount of downside and a ton of upside for me, and they're still getting the outcome that they want. They're happy, right? Or am I going to continue to do custom work, which is where the client feels like you're their employee because they're paying you so much usually, right? And they want to dictate this stuff. They don't know better. They just see that their buddy's got a blog and their buddy signed up for a HubSpot, and the gym down the street like started sending a newsletter, so they feel like they got to keep up with the Joneses. Guys, again, you have to go back to like, if I'm productizing, I'm only putting the things that work in there so that I can get what I want out of this relationship with the client, and the client gets the outcome that they hired me to get. So I'm writing them the prescription that they need, not necessarily the one that they want. But what that does for me as the business owner gives me more upside with very limited downside. So I know that, if that prescription for whatever the reason doesn't work, then we can both get out of this super fast because I don't have anything else necessarily to offer that client. I'm not offering them custom work. So within a day or two, you can be like, yeah, cool. You know what? This prescription isn't working for you. I'm not going to take your money. Here, let's just get out of this early, fast. Right? So there's a lot of ways to do this, lots of ways to skin the cat. Okay. But the principles, the fundamentals of this will turn you into an actual business owner where you have leverage versus just trading more time for money.
Right? I think that's the point, is the principles must be the same. There are ways to put the pieces together, but the principles have to be the same. So I'm going to, and it sounds like the hand emoji isn't working. So if anybody wants to ask a question, just turn your camera on and do this. That'll work. We'll do the regular. My question is this, and I give this answer all the time, but I would like another perspective on your perspective, obviously, Rob. If you're going to standardize your fulfillment, you're going to standardize or in other words, productize your product. What is your take? What is your principal belief on what comes before that? Or in other words, to pick a niche or to not pick a niche? That's because to me, it's like you must have a niche to be able to execute this productization process. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, there's two ways to niche. You can niche, well, there's more than that, but the two main ways are niching by industry or vertical. So I only help gym owners. I only help HVAC companies, something like that. Or you can niche by a problem that you solve. So what's great with GoHighLevel, for example, is you can go out there and say, my niche is everybody who does not text message their customer when a phone call is missed, because, I have missed call text back, and that's my solution to the marketplace. For a long time, we didn't price and package it or sell it this way at all. But for a long time, like at the end of our gym agency, but let me back up a minute. When we first started our gym agency, I was doing Facebook ads on the front end. That's what we were leading with. Hey, we'll do your Facebook ads. We'll run them profitably so that you can get more clients get new clients at a smoking price, right? By the end of that 22 months, it had flipped. So we weren't leading with the ads, we were leading with database reactivation and lead nurturing. So at the end, we were getting all kinds of people approaching us because we were excellent at lead nurturing and excellent at booking appointments for free using their existing lists, right? Doing a customer reactivation campaign or database reactivation. So we could literally help anybody. So, if you think about that, pretty much anybody with a list, you can do that for, right? So that's a way to niche by solution. Anybody who's already running Facebook ads. How many of you guys have ever run into someone, they're like, I'm already running ads? Like, I've got an agency, my nephew, my sister's wife's cousin's uncle, like whatever, right? So for me, I wouldn't challenge that. I would go in and say, fantastic, right? And they go, oh, I thought you were going to sell, can't you do my ads for me? I'm like, no, you're already running ads. That's not the problem. And they go, well, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, I just saw your ad, clicked on it, opted in, and that was yesterday, and nobody's gotten back to me yet. Do you understand why that's such a big problem? Like, you're flushing money down the toilet. I don't care who's running your ads, right? The key to this whole thing is that you follow up with that person in 60 seconds or less. Do you have a system to do that? No. Okay, well, you're leaving the lion's share of the sales on the table by doing it that way. Here's the stats on that, right? And anybody can look that stuff up. Just Google speed to lead infographic, and anybody here can look up those stats, right? So if you choose to do it by solution, you have a broader market. If you choose to do it by niche or vertical, then what you can do is just basically say, okay, I'm able to go deeper with those folks. For example, we, in our package, we'd say, good, we're going to reactivate your list first. We're going to nurture all the leads coming into your, website, ecosystem, landing page, whatever. We're going to turn on Facebook ads if you need some fresh blood in your ecosystem. Cool. And then they'd say, okay, but like, I'm not converting cold leads as well as I am like maybe warm leads. Or we'd have to tell them that, hey, cold leads are different than warm leads. Like, you're used to just getting referrals 24/7. So we created, this is one of the advantages of specializing by vertical. My business partner was a gym sales expert. So he created a little course to train everybody, all our clients and their teams, on how to close more of the colder appointments that we were getting them. So you can do that if you specialize by vertical or by industry. Not so much, I mean, you can, there's some things that are kind of common about front desk, stuff, but it really gets good if you do that by niche, by vertical, if you niche by vertical. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think getting a chunk of market share with a broad approach is probably easier if you're starting out initially. Like missed call text back would be an example. I think the challenge that some people don't understand when they choose, and I want to ask you about models here in just a second. The challenge that some people don't think about when they get into that broad, I call it feature niche. We're saying the same thing. Is what they want to do if they want to maximize customer lifetime value, right? And a lot of times we maximize lifetime value by upselling and offering additional services, whatever those can be. And I feel like the most natural things are to get closer to the money in a business, right? So the further down the sales funnel we can get with whatever the business is, the more money we make them, the more money they're going to pay us, just fundamentally. Is there a way that you've seen where somebody going into that feature niche or that solution niche, I think you called it, or problem niche, you call it, right? To scale, other than retention, to scale customer value in terms of like bigger, higher ticket stuff?
I think that most of the people that have done that at scale have been bigger companies, right?
Yeah.
So not at scale, but I have seen a ton of SaaSpreneurs do that. If that's what you're asking, for sure.
I think, go ahead.
Yeah, good. I was gonna say, like, most people think of, or Mosey and Jim Launch. The only reason I bring him up is because we were, a close second. When Jim Launch was starting to hit its stride, we were hitting our stride with our gym agency. So like one day, Alex Ramosi got a hold of my number from somebody and just called me out of the blue and was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, how are you doing this? Because he had this really expensive, really deep program, and he had I think it was like $42,000 a year mastermind or something like that.
Yeah.
And he was doing these events, and they're going deep on every person's books and business, and we weren't doing any of that. Like, we were just we had one offer, literally. We didn't do events, we didn't do upsells, we didn't do anything. We were just like, y'all make your damn money, we'll keep cranking out the results, right? So there's plenty of examples of like SaaSpreneurs doing that, and then that's usually what it looks like is, okay, our program looks more like you've got like an account manager, and we're getting into like, it's usually like the financials and the operations of the business. That's usually what those upsells look like, because there's only so much you can do with marketing, right?
Yeah.
So you start to get into sales, operations, increasing the lifetime customer value of their customers, not yours.
Yeah.
Figuring out how to acquire clients at a better profit. It's all optimization stuff or maximization stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, whereas we're sort of like optimizing like one section of their business, and it's pretty hands-free for them. A lot of these people who do that, who, offer that kind of thing, they go into a maximization stage with these clients, which is much more involved. That's what I've seen most people doing. And of course, like, if you just wanted to add like a quarterly event or something, or some kind of mastermindy sort of offer, you could just bolt that onto this and it would do fine. There's a guy locally in town here who just hopped into I have a little coaching program, and he's got like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of paying clients in a certain niche, but he wants to add on more services to increase his profit margins with them.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of asking us how to do that. And a lot of the things that he's adding on are sort like, there are things to do with high level still for him to add on to his client base, but a lot of it is just like, okay, well, that might break their operations, or I might have to get involved to teach them how to manage, to install that and manage it properly so it doesn't become a mess real fast, right? So that's like the exchange there. It's like, it's just a matter of preference, in my opinion. Like, you can go in and try to maximize the heck out of that, but I was always after like a more lifestyle business. And so I kind of wanted to be a little bit more arm's length with them, because once you get into folks' operations, it's an obligation for sure.
Well, it's
You
funny
have to
that
be
you
ready
use
to.
that word. It's funny you use that word lifestyle business. I've been, in fact, over the last like 4 weeks, I've been talking about just like rethinking my take on like the agency journey. It's hard. It's sometimes hard for, I started this like 9 years ago. You're like right in that, like, I think you've been doing it for longer than that, right? And it's hard to remember what 9 years ago was like when this all started. And I've been thinking to myself, you know what happens to everybody? Everybody starts from this $0 mark to the $20,000 recurring revenue, whatever. And they start and their profit margins are good. But as soon as they get to like this level, operations, the wheels fall off, they lose. And the core thing they do is they lose all of their profit margins. And that is the thing that they can't put their finger on, but they're like, dude, I'm doing all of this extra stuff and I'm making less money. What is happening? And it's funny because I've been thinking about that one thing like every single day, just picking apart all of the different pieces as to why that happens, as to why your profit margins at client 15 to 20 are at 50%. And then 30, you're like 25 to 30 customers and you're at 15%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a mentor. His name is Nick Peterson. He wrote a book that's sliver thin. It's called Bumpers. And it's a book on how to not blow yourself up. And basically the reason why that happens, the phenomenon that you're describing, is because, hang on, someone's trying to call me.
I wrote that book title down.
And I think you can even find it free, or it's like $8 on Amazon. So like the whole book, the premise of the book is like how to not blow yourself up. So how do we do that? You need to add restrictions. Like in business, restrictions will set you free. It's counterintuitive, but it works, right? So like, how do you add bumpers to anything that you're doing so it can set you free? Well, the downside upside thing is one of them for me, right? Like once you realize that, like what these people are probably doing are taking on too much work for the client, right? Or hasn't been figured out yet. So they're experimenting. They're in the lab, which is eating up all their profits. It is my opinion that if that everything in business has already been figured out.
Yeah.
And so there's no need to experiment. The shortcut is to find the person that's already done what you want to do and go consume all the content they have. It can be coaching or mentorship, but it doesn't have to be. It can be their YouTube channel, their book. Like for me, Mike Cooch, who's a good friend of mine now, he's been in the local marketing space forever. And I'm not like name dropping to impress you guys. I'm just telling you guys how I arrived where I'm at, right? He just moved to San Diego with his family and his beautiful 3 girls. And I'd been following him for a while. And he was the first person that started talking about productizing stuff in the local space that I'd seen.
Yeah.
So I'd been buying all this stuff, low ticket products, all that stuff. When he moved to San Diego, I was like, hey, I know this is weird and you don't really know me, but can I please take you to lunch? I need some help with this stuff. And he's like, yeah, sure. And he was super cool about it. And basically he told me that I needed to go hire Billie Jean as a mentor, because Billie Jean was helping like $250,000 a month and growing worth of like Orange Theories, chiropractic center, massage envies. Like they were all local businesses, and he was just doing Facebook ads for them. That was it. He wasn't doing anything else. And every campaign was the same, right? Every single, like if he had Uphex, he would have made a ton more money. There you go. Yeah.
You remember this?
Yeah, I do.
This
That was
is
awesome.
this
That's
is a
USB.
self-liquidating offer that Billie Jean put out in like 2016 or 17.
Yeah.
And it's a thumb drive. And in that thumb drive is the concept that Uphex is built around.
Yep.
So sorry, buddy. Sorry
Yep.
to interrupt
No,
you.
it's just,
I couldn't agree more.
yeah. So Billy was just taking proven ad campaigns and charging like $500 a month and going to all these franchisees.
Yep.
I think he had like 400 of them at one point, and or something like that. It must have been more than that. I guess that's that price point, but you guys get the point, right? Like, so I went to him and said, how the heck are you doing this? And he's like, well, show me what you're doing now. And he's like, look, man, you're doing way too much work for all these people. Like, they all get the same campaign. And I was like, I don't think that'll work. And he's like, well, tell me every client that you have on here and every niche that you have, and we'll write an ad for them. But the key is once we write an ad, every client that you get in that niche after this gets the same ad campaign. And I'm like, okay, man, you know. And so his team for 3 months wrote every ad for every client for us. And that's why I paid them, I think it was 15 grand. And so I was fulfilling, and I was making money. I think I was, I was making like 30 grand a month by the end of that. So it was super worth it. Right. So then the light bulb for me went off. I'm like, hey, people are happily paying this because they're getting the result that they want. I have time to go out and sell more clients or spend time with my family. I was having babies with my wife at the time. So, like, I joked with my Betsy, who's been with me forever. I joked with her that, like, hey, every time I have a baby, the business grows, because I take like 6 weeks off and she would just be running the ad campaigns and we get referrals, and sometimes the business would grow when I would just leave. But before, it was never like that for us. So the thing there to think about is, what kind of restrictions will set me free? And it really just forces you to think, what are the only things that move the needle? Like, what I'm not doing for those clients is as important. It's more important, in fact, than the things that I am doing. So the things that remain that you are doing have to get the client the outcome that they want. The things that I'm not doing are all the things that make it not a good deal for me.
Yeah.
Right. And that list is huge. It's infinite, in fact. But a better, easier way to say that is, if you just offer the things that get your client the outcome that they want, and that's it.
Yes.
This simplifies everything.
Well, it's funny. So I have two things I want to just back up what you're saying. I don't need to, but I will, because everybody knows what you're talking about. But
sure.
For a long time in my agency, we were like a chiropractic agency, and we focused on chiropractors. But we started finding that the clinics that really won with us were the ones that ran 3 different conditions: spinal decompression, non-surgical knee stuff, and then neuropathy. If they had those 3, our retention was really good and the results were really good. So I actually said to my team, I'm like, we don't take any clinics that only offer this thing, unless they offer one of our core 3. My webinar is called the Big 3. Unless they do one of these, we will not work with them. They're out. And it's not like a mean thing. It's like a deliverability thing. Like, our ability to perform is the most important thing.
Can you imagine if Apple said, oh, like 20% of the market wants the iPhone built this way, we're gonna just figure that shit out on the fly to make them it's like, no, dude, they just go, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
Like, people will either buy an iPhone or they won't. In fact, they're the people who buy the iPhone that we create are probably going to become more like champions of our product than if we tried to make everybody else happy, which is very much an Android sort of thing. It's like, yeah, you can do anything on this thing. It's like, cool, I don't want to do anything. I just want it to freaking work out of the box, man.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
Like, most of the market. Yeah.
That's exactly right.
So, but I could talk for hours. I'm really curious what people's questions are, because I feel like I'm just sort of hanging out with you, Sam.
I feel like what kind people are shell shocked. I will say, Rob, we usually have a ton of hand emojis, but they're so Twitter pated by you.
Oh,
we
God,
did have a question a little bit ago from Jay. What are the top 3 benefits about for missed call text back, if you were to lead with that?
All right. So I'm not saying this to be a jerk, but Google Google this, guys. What are Google the stats on this? There's a stat out there from Google that said, type this in. I want somebody to do this real fast, or Sam, if you want to do it on the screen, that'd be fine too.
I'll do it.
Google speed to lead infographic. Tell me what the top stats are you see on that are. So this is something you guys are going to have to get good at, okay, is using data information. If you study any of the direct response guys out there, Frank Kern, Dan Kennedy, Alex Ramosi, any of this stuff, they do this all the time. So see that 78% number there? I usually just say 80. But the one that you were just on, there it is. What's the first stat on there, Sam?
Yeah, 78% of customers buy from those companies that respond to their inquiry first.
Guys, think about this for a moment. My air conditioning breaks. I'm in Huntsville, Alabama. It's hot as balls or cold as balls here, usually, right? I've got 3 kids. We now have a puppy. I have a wife who doesn't like being uncomfortable temperature-wise. What do you think the first thing I'm doing when my air conditioning breaks is?
On HVAC.
Yeah. So I go to Google, and what's the behavior? What is my behavior like once those options are presented to me? Somebody else besides Sam answer. Can somebody go through this with me? Because this is important.
Joshua says intent.
No, well, that's us as marketers. But what is my behavior like once I say Huntsville HVAC companies near me? What am I doing?
Click or call the first one with the highest reviews, or the one that looks intriguing to you.
You're looking
Perfect.
for
So I call someone, right? And what am I doing if that person doesn't answer? And I don't get it. That's right. And what do I do if that person doesn't answer?
calling the next person. You're trying to find the
Yes,
solution to your problem.
that's right. So do you understand and now why this stat is true? And do you believe that that is in alignment with the average consumer's behavior in that scenario?
Yes.
Does everybody believe that now? Okay, so look at most businesses are effing terrible at this. I've got a number somewhere on my website. I'm terrible at it too. I kind of don't give a crap, but this is the lifeblood of the average small business out there. And so unless you're like a giant business, like if you're Bank of America, you don't care if someone's pissed that they have to wait in the phone tree forever, right? But if you're the local HVAC person, this is literally your livelihood, right? So you need to punch these small business owners in the face with this stat and help them realize like they don't understand what we just described. Even though they're smart and we're smart, probably smart enough to make all this stuff happen, right? You as the salesperson, like they're over here and your job is to get them over here. And so when you approach them, you need to say, hey man, I tried calling and nobody answered. Number one, worse, nobody got back to me right away through a text message or something else, right? So what do you think I would be doing if I was shopping HVAC providers? I'm just going to the next one until I pick up the phone. Anybody would do that, right? Do you believe me? Oh yeah, I do that all the time. Cool. Well, this is how much you're leaving on the table. See this stat right here, this Google stat? Like 80% of the time, the business goes to the person who simply answers or replies first.
Yeah.
So let's do some quick money math. How much are you leaving on the table? How many missed calls do you have per day, do you think? Cool. Times that by 30. Times that by your average close rate. Right? Cool. So you're leaving $30,000 to $50,000 a month in new installations on the table. Good news is my solution to text these people back and get them conversationally booking in is a lot less than that. It's only $500 a month. Would you trade $500 a month for 30 to 50 grand in found revenue? Because that's what you're looking at. You guys see how that goes?
Yeah, I want to hit a pause button real quick because a lot of times, like we're having conversations, we're talking on this, and we just blow by. So Robb does this thing called money math. I've seen it on his videos. And by the way, like Robb and I are friends. but I know that I can learn stuff from him. And he's got a really terrible following on his YouTube channel based on the type of content that's on there. Everybody should go subscribe to his channel. You should go watch his stuff, because what's in there is like free. It's a free course that you should pay for. And the money math thing that he just breezed through is a skill and a tactic that every single one of you should be parroting in your sales process. If you guys aren't going to ask questions, I'll feel free to have a conversation with my buddy Rob, but we can do it outside of this, because I'm just picking his brain apart. Would you go through the money math thing real quick? Because you just did it. And I think that people could not do that like you just did unless you break it apart a little bit.
All right. So let's just, I guess, slow it down and break it down a little bit. So this is how you can establish credibility really fast, guys. The way that I just talked you through that is the way that I talk to, like, when I sell. Okay. So when I sell to a small business owner, I'm not interested in what they want to try. And that might be new for you guys, or it might feel uncomfortable. That's a skill you develop, right? The reason why I'm confident in this, like if someone calls me out on that and goes, oh, well, you just don't know what you're talking about. And it's like, really? Because I've helped thousands of small business owners and they all have the same problems, and you have the exact same problem. It's like, and what I do is I go, you wouldn't walk into a doctor's office who sees thousands and thousands of cancer patients every day. And if you think you have cancer, you wouldn't write that doctor off, would you? If he was, attempting to diagnose your situation. I just diagnosed that you have sales cancer, okay? And you can choose to not, it's your free will. You can walk out of the office and say, that guy's crazy as hell, and that's fine with me. But it's my job to tell you that what I'm seeing, so that you are armed with the information on what to do next with it. I don't care if you sign up with me or not, okay? But what I'm saying is you're walking around with this cancer, and the reason why you're not getting more appointments from your local search presence is because of this. I'm trying to educate you on why that's happening.
Yeah.
Why Bob down the street is kicking ass and you're not. Okay. So if you tell me I'm not interested in solving that problem, happy to leave. We'll save us both some time. But I have a solution for this, and I think that you could really use it based off what I've seen, right? So this is literally how I sell, guys, because I don't have enough lifetimes to help all the businesses that need help with this. You guys don't either. There's so many that it's a blue ocean, okay? But the thing that you guys have to do is come in and once you understand why this is happening, there's no longer an excuse for you or for them to just stick their head in the sand and do nothing about it, okay? So the faster that you can get them to arrive there, the better. The easiest way to do that is not make it about you as an expert. The doctors do this all the time. Well, according to the American Cancer Institute, your type of cancer has this percentage of survival rate. It's just a fact, or as facty as you can make it nowadays, right? Everybody's got something out there. It's crazy, right? But any person who's relatively logical, I didn't make this stat up. Don't kill me. I'm just the messenger, right? You can Google it for yourself. There's speed to lead studies that have done by much smarter people than me, okay? But this is why this is happening to you, right? So I'm just interested in seeing if you want to solve this solution or not, because I have a solution that might help, right? So we did this all the time with gym owners. They get marketed to a lot. They get sold to a lot. They really just want to help people. So they're usually not very savvy salespeople either, right? They're largely referral based. It was a tough niche, medical is another tough niche, but when you use facts and money math, the math, I call it math logic is what I call it. The math logic is very difficult to argue with, guys.
Yeah.
So it takes the trust factor away from you and puts most of the heavy lifting on the math and the logic behind the stats and the information that they give to you. So in a nutshell, they need to know why this is such a powerful tactic, and that reason shouldn't have anything to do with you. So the why is the 80% stat, right? Verified by Google. That was from a study done by, I think, like Harvard and HubSpot or MIT and HubSpot, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's probably even worse now because that study was done years back.
Yeah.
But this is the reason why this is happening. Okay. And this is the way that consumer behavior is. I didn't make that up. It's just the way it is, sir. But the good news is I know how to solve it. But let's figure out if it's worth it for you to pay to solve this solution. So how many calls are you missing per day? And then you use their answers in this equation, right? So you draw, this is the drawing them out, drawing the information out from them. Cool. Approximately how many calls a day do you get? 10. Awesome. Approximately how many would you say you miss? Oh, there's no way to know. Okay, well, on average, it's probably like 3 or 4 at a minimum, just being conservative. So if there's 3 or 4 per day, let's times that by 30 days in a month. Okay. So what's that answer, Mr. Client?
90. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's 90. Okay, sweet. Well, did you know that 80% of the time people go with the person that answers first? Let's just remember that stat on this. Okay. So if you times 90 by 80%, what are we looking at?
72.
72. Great. That's 72 new sales in a month. Let's be super conservative and cut that number in half. What's that number?
38.
38. So if you had 38 new sales this month that you missed out on, this is found money. What would that be worth to you? What's your average sale like? Well, it kind of depends and da-da-da-da. Okay, let's just be super conservative just to be, well, it's looking at like, I don't know, a bunch of maintenance calls and, 5 or 6 installations. Okay. What's your profit margin on the 5 or 6 installations? It's like, I don't know, $35,000 to $65,000 a month. Okay. Well, the solution, good news, solution I'm proposing is just this call text back. It only costs $500 a month. Would you trade that $35,000 to $65,000 in profit for $500 a month to have that problem solved forever? Well, yeah, shoot, if it actually works, I would. Well, good news is it's just me, man. If it's not working, call me. We'll shut it off. I'll give you your money back. No big deal. But I'm telling you, it's going to work. Okay. How soon would you like to get this turned on? Would you like it starting tomorrow? Okay. If it doesn't work, I'm not going to take your money. Does that sound good? Let's just turn it on and see if it solves a problem. Sure. That sounds good. Great. Right?
Yeah.
So guys, I'm telling you that people make this way more complicated than it needs to be. Sean Clark, the CEO of GoHighLevel, turned on an automated reviews campaign for an HVAC guy. This guy has so many reviews, he's ranked #1 in Google for everything now. And he went from 2 trucks to like 14 trucks. Sean still charges him $300 a month, hasn't talked to the guy in years. I'd rather have a business like that.
Yeah.
Personally, instead of maximizing.
That's a decent model. That's a decent model.
It's a great model, right? So,
all right. Joshua
I'm
Bell has the first digital hand raised.
Let's go.
And so we're going to actually reward Josh by unmute your mic there, Josh. And you can go ahead and ask a question.
I appreciate it. And it was really cool hopping on this Q&A and seeing the man, Robb Bailey himself. Like
He is the man.
That's a sick collab. So my question is, I was mad scared to run a DBR for forever. And so I had this lady a couple of days ago. They ran the DBR for the first time, and man, it worked. It worked.
Of course it works.
Of course it works, right? But my question is, I know that you guys kind of talk about doing it quarterly. Should I just run like a different offer to the same list quarterly, or does that like kind of come off as like spam? Like how do you guys approach that?
I mean, you can, but you don't have to. It depends on how you're running it. Like if you're following our step-by-step, like in my community and my free training, we just ran the same offer once a quarter, because what happens is you're doing it in batches, right? So the first batch is like 100, 200 contacts, and we leave them alone after that. So if they, like, let's just say that you started a reactivation campaign and the 200 people that you started on January 1st haven't heard from you, and it's March 31st now, does it feel like it's spammy to just contact them again with the same offer? No. 2 to 10% of that list is going to react based on timing at any given moment. So it's totally cool. Like to them, to the end user, the customer, they haven't heard from you in 3 months. So it's not spammy. It's just 3 months later. Maybe now is a good time to raise your hand and say yes. So if you're spamming the shit out of them between January 1st and March 31st, that's different. You're going to burn through your list. But no, you don't. See, this is what I'm talking about. It's like you don't need to get that creative. All the reactivation is beautiful because all you're saying is, hey, right now we're looking for 2 to 10% of the list to raise their hand. And that leaves 90 to 98% who's not ready right now. It's fine. They just usually don't respond is what happens majority of the time. So if you're like, there's variance to this, of course. If you're running a seasonal offer that doesn't make sense, then yeah, change the offer. If that offer just plain isn't working anymore, yes, change the offer. But if it worked last time and everything's going well, just go back to the beginning of the list and hit those people up again and do another quarter's worth of reactivation. That's what we did all the time with gyms. It was always a free 10-day pass. Worked like crazy.
Nice work.
Thank
Josh, you get 50 gold digital stars today since
Let's
you're
go.
you're the first question asker.
And by the
Nicholas
way,
actually
guys,
has kind of a go ahead, Rob.
What, if you don't mind, Sam, I teach this for free in my little school group. So you guys can just go to robbailey.com. I spell my first name with 2 B's. So it's ROBBBAILEY.com/group. If you search the high level group, that link is tattooed there. It's just my gift to you guys. I'm not asking you for anything. But that's probably how Josh is, running his reactivation. We have step-by-step directions on how we did this so prolifically, and it's free. So if you guys want to do that, highly recommend it. It's a great thing to lead with. It's a great thing to pair with Uphex ads. I just want to tell people that because that's just like my free. I want nothing back in return. There's no gotcha moment in there. It's free. So anybody on this call can run a reactivation like Josh did, and I want to just sort of applaud you for doing it, Josh, and getting out there and running it. It's literally changed some people's life, just like Uphex has changed some people's life, right? Like this is a highly leveraged strategy you can use and go out and start making your clients money. Therefore, you make money. So go use it for sure.
I
100%.
put his link in the chat there, you guys. It would be silly not to do it. So
Yeah.
this kind of dovetails a little bit into what we were just talking about. Nick asked, a little off topic, not really, what are your thoughts on adapting ad copy and ad creatives around the holidays, especially right now when people on Facebook are already looking for Christmas holiday theme posts on Facebook? Is that a strategy that works, or is it best to just stick with the less ad campaigns and let them run as though the holiday season / New Year?
So I love this question. So every year I've run ads for myself or clients starting on December 24th through the end of the year, and you get sick, disgusting, cheap clicks.
Yep.
It's awesome. So I'm not as like your expectation up until that date should be that the ad costs are going to be expensive because everybody's bidding on the same eyeballs. But somewhere around the few days before leading up to Christmas, but no later than the 24th, you're going to start seeing all that stuff drop because everybody's thinking what you just said. Hey, there's no way people are going to, be paying attention to their phones while they're sitting around with people they hate or some people by themselves on Christmas. And, if you think drunk dialing is a thing, there's such a thing as drunk buying during the holidays, guys. Like people do it all the freaking time. And if there's one industry that you would think that it wouldn't work in, it's fitness. But no, people are sitting around saying, no, oh God, I ate too much. My fat ass needs to get back in the gym. I feel like a sloth. I self-loathing. It worked like crazy. We got crazy. We got 5-cent leads one year for the gym that I went to on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and the day after Christmas. And it was almost that good through the new year too, because no other gyms were running ads. It was fantastic.
I happened upon that same exact lesson by accident because Jacob was supposed to turn the ads off on Christmas Day. He's like, hey, turn the ads off.
Yeah.
Left them on for everybody.
Dude, it's great.
it was amazing. We're like, dude,
Yeah.
you know, you would
Yeah.
think not to do it, but it was incredible. We had such a great response doing that. It was crazy.
Yeah. That's a little hack for you right there. And it's a great time to send offers out as well. Here's another, I'm just going to keep dropping bombs until you guys interrupt me with a question, but another thing to do is to do year-end pay in fulls. We have a tax savings campaign. Full disclosure, I learned this from Mike Cooch, and I just took it to the next level because it became my favorite strategy ever. It's a simple email copy that you guys can have. I'll also put that up in my group like today or Monday. But all it is you say, hey, Mr. Client, if you're happy with our service, it could be anything. It could be software, service, products. What we're doing is we're running an end of the year special so you can save on your tax liability. And we're offering like a discount for you if you pay in full for next year. So the way that I did it was I said, you get the more that you commit to, the better your discount gets. So I'm offering 10% off 3 months paid in full. I'm offering 15% off 6 months paid in full. And I'm offering 25% off if you want to pay for all of next year in advance. And the stingiest, cheapest MFers, like my hardest clients, they all like responded that day and were like, tell me where to send the check. Because the people who are the biggest penny pinchers know that if they pay for advance this year, they can reduce their tax liability in December by paying for services for 2024. So that works like crazy. It's great for you to lock that in. I don't mind parting with the percentage off because they're paying, it's guaranteed money now, right? So rather than having them possibly pause, stop, or look around and go with someone else next year, I'd rather lock that money in. And it really makes for a nice end of year revenue pump for you guys. So that's a simple, all I say is, you know, tax savings discount on 2024 services is the email subject line. You can text them this, send them an email about it. It's very simple and straightforward. And people are used to doing this. If you look at software companies, that's kind of their positioning. Like GoHighLevel just got done doing that, right? You get 2 free months if you pay in full on an annual plan. The buying behavior is already built into our culture on this, even on the B2B front, right? So you guys can make fat stacks doing that too if you've got any current clients at all. So Joshua, go get Q1 to the whole year locked in by sending your clients something like that now, right?
I love it.
Do it, dude. Yeah.
I love it.
So I've got a little email template that I modified for Mike's. Mike's been teaching this for years. I think he sells it for $7. And I usually just give it away for free this time of year so everybody can go make money, right? So how many of you guys have current clients on the call? Oh, most of you. Dope. So guys, use that, right? The lowest I ever made was like 30 grand doing that. That's the lowest I ever made. I got a 50 grand pay in full from someone who I do stuff for last week. So all they wanted was 2 months free. They were happy. And so instead of paying 60 grand, they're paying me 50 to do it in December. And then I might get another $50,000 one, depending on what that person wants to do. But if they've got the free cash, guys, it makes total sense, all the sense in the world. In fact, I have an email from my CPA and he's saying, hey, go pay in full and get discounts on anything like software services that you know you're going to use next year. My CPA is telling me to go do this. So it's a very easy sales process. It's usually one email. Joe Rare did this. He's got a couple hundred clients, but he made 6 figures on a snowboarding trip. He didn't think it would work. So he sent the email template that we use. He's got a bunch of clients in the wedding venue niche of all things. And he came back by the time he was back from his snowboarding trip, he made like 150 grand or something like that from it. He's got a lot of clients,
his lifestyle. That's
totally.
Like his
it's like, he makes me sick. It's like everything I teach him how to do, he does better than me. It's so annoying. But that's so Joe. And he's the laziest dude, but also the smartest because he just wins. He's like,
he does.
Yep, that's a lazy lever to pull. Yep, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Thanks, Rob. Like, you jerk.
I love that guy.
He's a friend of ours.
Rob, you've been awesome, dude. I know we're at an hour, so I appreciate you coming and doing this. It means a lot to me as your buddy that you come and talk to these guys. I know they've been quiet, but I know many of the people here and they're very appreciative of it. So I appreciate you, man.
No worries. I'm here to serve and give, and it's not about me receiving something back. So if you guys got some value, I'm happy with that. And I would just say, don't sit on it. Go do something about it. That's really what this is for, right? Is practical, actionable. And you guys are welcome to hop into my community. But if you guys have any questions and Sam's, just tag me, and I'll do my best to answer them. And I'm happy to.
And
Cool.
you guys should really join his community, but go to his YouTube channel and then comment like crazy on his videos. The longer form videos. There's so much good stuff there. And I'm like, how many subscribers are you up to right now?
Oh God, I think it's like 1,000. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
dude,
like I'm
your
bad
channel
with that
needs
kind of
to
thing.
be way more than that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But-
It's I'm a family man, and
Yep.
I'd love to say that I have all day to sit around and try to get internet famous, but I just don't. I mean, I'm at church right now doing a little bit of a ministry work for. It's like I'm passionate about feeding people, and so do a little bit of that. And then my kids have all kinds of stuff. It's basketball season, so it's laziness / I'd rather be present.
Yep.
That's really all it is. But the content itself is good. Sam's right. It's some of our best stuff. So y'all enjoy it. Use it.
Thanks, Rob.
Yep.
Appreciate you,
Of course,
buddy.
man.
Everybody, thank you for coming. Hopefully you've got a ton of value out of this. I'll be putting a replay of this on the Uphex YouTube channel. I'll give it to you too, Rob, if you want to throw it out there.
Yeah, please. I'll put on mine too.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we'll get, I mean, there's been so many awesome, just value bombs dropped here. And it's the kind of value bombs where you need to go back and you need to listen and take notes and break it apart and then go, okay, that's how it.
Well, look, I'll just say this. It's 2024. Stuff moves fast. There's no reason why people should be suffering doing it the old way, the wrong way, any of that stuff, guys.
Agreed.
Like, you know what I mean? And that's the reason why I'm happy to take an hour or whatever it is to hopefully reach a few of you, because I've had people come up to me and say, I put this in 3 years ago and it literally changed my life because like once I saw it, I can't unsee it, that sort of thing. And if I didn't have that happen for me, I don't know what I'd be doing. I'd probably be at some corporate job I hate or unaliving myself because it just sucks so bad, right? Like it just,
Yeah.
I think that for most of us, in order to have any sort of longevity with this sort of thing, there has to be something practical that works for you long term. And so hopefully there's something that you caught on to today, at least one thing that made it so you're like, look, this is tolerable. I can scale this the way I want. I can see myself doing this for 5 to 10 years the way I want. Or you picked up some skill that enables you to do that with something else in the future. And that's just like my whole drive for doing it is, hopefully something clicks for you guys and you see that it doesn't have to be this like, because that's why people quit. They blow themselves up or they're working in an unsustainable model. Those are the two biggest culprits.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So.
All right, man. I appreciate you. Love you. Thanks for doing this, and everybody for coming. Thanks for coming. We'll see you on the next one.
Bro. Later, guys.
See you guys.